Good evening, and welcome to North Metro Mayors Association's Legislative Candidate Forum. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Ryan Sabas. I'm the mayor of Champlin, and I will be moderating this evening's forum. The North Metro Mayors Association was created in 1987 as a nonpartisan organization advocating for issues and opportunities of importance to the north suburban region of the Twin Cities. I'd like to thank the North Metro Mayors Association for coordinating and sponsoring this forum, and thank the candidates joining us tonight for making this event possible. Thank you to Champlin for hosting us this evening and QCTV for recording and airing this forum. Our goal tonight is to give the residents a chance to learn about the candidates' ideas and positions on issues important to the future of the communities and the North Metro region. We'll ask 4 prepared questions with rotating responses, order, and set the time limits. We regret we can't cover every issue of interest tonight due to time constraints. Before we begin, the candidates flipped a coin to determine the speaking order. I am pleased to introduce the candidates for Senate District 34. First, Senator John Hoffman and Karen Attia. Thank you both for being here. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. John Hoffman will go first, followed by Karen Attia. John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening. And thank you to the North Metro Mayors Association for bringing us together. I'm John Hoffman, and I've had the honor of representing this region in Minnesota since 2013. Before serving in the Senate, I served on the Anoka-Hennepin School Board. And throughout my career, I've worked with families, educators, disability advocates, businesses, labor leaders, local governments, Republicans, Democrats, anybody who's willing to come to the table and solve a problem. That's how we delivered funding for the Champlin Mill Pond, Brooklyn Park's 101st and 109th Avenue improvements in the Community Activity Center, and critical water infrastructures in Dayton. It's also how we kept working until the Highway 610 vision that Melissa Hortman was a big part of became a reality. Last year, my wife, Yvette, who is here with me tonight, and I nearly lost our lives in the act of political violence. That experience changed my life, but it did not change my belief in public service. In fact, it strengthened it. I'm running because I refuse to surrender our government or our communities to anger, division, or political grievances. I believe public service is about showing up, listening, and delivering results. Our communities need safe roads, affordable housing, good schools, reliable public safety, strong businesses, and services that help people live with dignity. Mayors and city councils also need a state partner that listens instead of issuing. I know this region well. I have relationships across party lines, and I have a record of bringing people together to get things done. What I'm asking, Mr. Mayor and members, here is the opportunity to continue that work because the North Metro deserves experienced, collaborative, and effective representation.
Thank you, John. Karen Attia, opening statement.
Good evening. I'm Karen Attia, the endorsed Republican candidate running for the state Senate here in Senate District 34. Thank you to the North Metro Mayors Association for giving the voters an opportunity to hear from the candidates. To those who've joined us this evening, thanks for being here. I am a lifelong Minnesotan, raised on a dairy farm where, early in life, I learned the value of a solid work ethic. Champlin has been my home for 30 years, where I became a part of the community by volunteering at school and church, and where I've raised my 4 sons. It has been a great place to live and raise a family. My lifelong calling to care for others led to a career as a critical care nurse. I also entered the business world in 2001 with my husband owning 2 restaurants over approximately 15 years. These real-world experiences have equipped me with the qualities needed to represent you at the Capitol. From operating in high-pressure environments with accountability and precision to balancing budgets and managing resources, I am ready to take on our shared challenges. I am running to rid our state of the disease I call fraud, to rein in the state spending of our hard-earned tax dollars, to return focus to fundamentals for K-12 education, and to defend your fundamental rights and freedoms. I'm not a career politician. I am a caregiver and a problem solver. I spent my life looking out for others. Now, with your support, let's bring our state back to health.
All right, thank you both for your opening statements. We'll now move on to our prepared questions in rotating order with an option for rebuttal. Each candidate has 2 minutes to answer. After both have answered, each candidate will be offered an optional 45-second rebuttal. Our first question tonight will start with Senator John Hoffman. What are the top 1 or 2 issues you hear while campaigning? And if elected, what will you do to ensure that the 2027 legislature works in a collaborative way with the governor and the community to address those issues?
You know, as somebody who's honored to be endorsed by the Minnesota nurses, I do hear 2 issues that are that one is most affordability and whether or not government can still work effectively for ordinary people. Families are paying more for housing, groceries, energy, healthcare, childcare, and insurance. Cities face those same pressures while trying to maintain roads, hire police officers and firefighters, and provide essential services without pushing the entire cost onto property taxpayers. We must provide dependable state partnerships for transportation, public safety, housing, infrastructure, schools, and human services. When the state fails to meet the responsibilities, the shift gets downward. And the property taxpayer receives the bill. That's not fiscal responsibility. It's simply moving the burden. People want accountability. They expect us to protect public dollars, prevent fraud, measure results, and correct problems quickly. But accountability must be thoughtful. We should not target wrongdoing without destabilizing legitimate providers or cutting vulnerable Minnesotans off from needed services. Collaboration doesn't mean that we will always agree. It means we listen. We work from the same facts and refuse to let disagreement become dysfunction. My standard has been not who gets the credit. My standard is, did we solve the problem and did the community benefit? That's the approach that I bring as a state senator and I will bring in 2027. What it is governance over grievance, accountability with fairness and results people can see in their daily lives.
Thank you. Karen Attia, same question. What are the top 1 or 2 issues you hear while campaigning? And if elected, what will you do to ensure that the 2027 legislature works in a collaborative way with the governor and the community to address those issues?
The number 1 issue I hear about while campaigning is fraud. This is not a partisan issue. Residents are deeply frustrated by the lack of government accountability and the systemic culture of fraud that has expanded over the years. From childcare and welfare fraud to the more recent Feeding Our Future, Medicaid, autism, and housing stabilization scandals, billions of tax dollars have been stolen. We need a strict oversight and regulatory mindset in our state agencies, and administrators must be held to their fiduciary responsibility to protect public funds. The second critical issue is the rising cost of everyday life. Residents are struggling with increasing taxes, and small business owners are finding it difficult to cover their tax burdens. Many are still questioning how the state's $18 billion surplus was utilized while everyday costs continue to rise. Minnesotans have lost faith and trust in government, with many feeling hopeless and discouraged. Many have shared that a balance is needed in the legislature. Division and unwillingness to collaborate is having negative consequences. To regain the public's trust, we must commit to accountability, transparency, and a willingness to share ideas along with a balanced, common-sense approach to the issues we are facing. Working collaboratively as a team, sharing information, and keeping communication open to solve complex problems is essential. We are experiencing the negative consequences of policies put in place as a result of this imbalance. I look forward to serving as a balancing force, and I will do my part in collaborating effectively in the Senate with the governor and the community I serve.
Thank you. Now we have the opportunity for a 45-second rebuttal. John, if you'd like to go first.
You know, collaboration cannot simply be something that we talk about during an election. It requires relationships, experience, and a record of delivering. I've worked with local officials from both parties to secure transportation, water, parks, and community infrastructure. I have also been willing to challenge my own party when I believe a decision hurts the people I represent. Independence doesn't mean standing alone. It means being willing to bring everyone to the table, listen honestly, and put the North Metro ahead of partisan politics.
Thank you. Karen, if you'd like a rebuttal.
Yes, in my effort to know the community, I have met with each one of the city administrators and have dug deeply into what the needs are of this area. And therefore, I have now a better learning of what is expected in collaboration, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you both for getting through question one. The second question, we'll start with Karen. What transportation infrastructure priority in your district or the broader North Metro region do you think deserves more attention at the state level? And why do you see it as important to our region?
Regarding the transportation infrastructure priorities, two major projects deserve significant attention at the state level: the Northwest River Crossing and the Trunk Highway 252 corridor. Both are critical to supporting our rapidly growing region. The Northwest River Crossing project is essential for long-term growth. Following a 2021 feasibility study funded by the legislature, a general area was identified for a new Mississippi River bridge connecting I-94 and Highway 10 through Dayton and Ramsey, which are the fastest growing cities in the metro area. The next critical steps require state funding to complete Tier 1 and Tier 2 environmental impact studies. Simultaneously, the Trunk Highway 252 corridor project requires immediate focus as its environmental impact studies are in the final stages this year, with construction expected to begin in the next 2 years, concluding in 2029. Converting this section to a freeway will improve safety, traffic control, and public transit while supporting the commuter and freight traffic vital to the North Metro economy. As I research this topic, funding appears to rely primarily on the TIF, the State Trunk Highway Fund, and surrounding cities. Thankfully, a 2025 legislative directive has reduced the financial responsibility for both Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park. In conclusion, both projects are equally vital. Ultimately, I will have to defer to the experts and trust the decisions made will be the most beneficial to our region. Discussions with city administrators across Senate District 34 emphasize that a comprehensive approach considering all major regional corridors, including 169, 610, 252, and I-94, is necessary to effectively serve our growing population and boost our economy.
All right, for Senator Hoffman, the same question. What transportation infrastructure priority in your district or the broader North Metro region do you think deserves more attention at the state level, and why do you see this as an importance to our region?
The regional priority right now in the North Metro is the Highway 252 and the I-94 corridor, and that is the 610 to Minneapolis connection. The corridor, which if you look at all the lights that are in there, it was Governor Jesse Ventura, who was the Brooklyn Park mayor at the time, said, I don't want anybody just driving through Brooklyn Park, I want them to stop. But this goes beyond any final plan that has to be about safety, reducing congestion, protecting the neighborhood connections, and respect the people who live, especially on the east side of that development. You know, when 252 connects the North Metro to Minneapolis, it's an entire regional transportation network, and delays in traffic and delays because of accidents really slow up the process that we need in Champlin, Coon Rapids, Dayton, Rogers, and neighboring communities. There's also protection in the investment that we've made, and I'm so glad that to hear my opponent mention the Northwest River, that crossing, those bills were mine. And it's been a process that I think we need to keep working on, and which we will. I've already partnered with local leaders to advance those projects, as well as 101st and 109th Avenue improvements in Brooklyn Park. Matter of fact, the city didn't have to pay one dime for the construction on 109th. Those are examples of transportation and economic development working together. Roads open up access to jobs, housing, and the emerging biotech innovative district that's coming to Brooklyn Park. My approach is straightforward. Plan regionally, listen locally, Fund projects predictability and stop making cities compete year after year for one-time appropriations. Infrastructure is not a partisan luxury. It's really the foundation that allows our communities and our economy to grow.
Thank you, John. If you'd like a rebuttal, Karen, 45 seconds.
I just want to say that at this point, the 252 trunk project is in a stage where residents have the opportunity to look at and speak to and address their concerns. And this is a valid thing, and I'm very grateful that it is happening.
Thank you. John, if you'd like a rebuttal.
Thank you. No, it's exactly the process that we put in place, and as somebody who was one of the original authors and somebody who's been involved with 252, I'm glad to see that is happening. It has to happen.
All right, we will move on to our third question. This one will start with John Hoffman. The North Metro competes globally for businesses and workers alike. What policies would you support, whether focused on business growth, workforce and labor needs, or both, to help this region attract and retain them?
So one of the things you really think about is people set business policy and workforce policy separate. We can't have that separated anymore. We must invest in the career and technical education, apprenticeships, and the community colleges and partnerships between schools, labor, and employers. Not every good career requires that four-year degree. And we need to have those direct pathways into the construction, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, biotech, information technology, and skilled trades. There needs to be an establishment of an assistant commissioner of career and technical education, not just somebody who's a staff at the bottom of the MnSCU idea chart. We must address those barriers that keep people from participating in the workforce, especially childcare, housing, transportation, and services for people with disabilities. Childcare is an economic infrastructure, so are safe roads and attainable housing. It's together. Third, Minnesota must remain competitive. This means predictable regulations, efficient permitting, access to capital, targeted economic development tools that produce measurement, jobs, and community benefits. It does not mean giving away public money without accountability. The North Metro has really extraordinary assets: available land, diverse communities, strong schools, major transportation connections, and established manufacturing from emerging opportunities as Brooklyn Park's Biotech Innovation District and Takeda, which benefited from my tax bill that got them to actually stay here. Our diversity is also an economic advantage. We should help immigrants, veterans, justice-impacted individuals, and people with disabilities connect their skills. The goal is not simply to attract a company, but it's rather to build an ecosystem where businesses can grow, workers can build careers, and families can remain here.
Thank you, John. Karen Attia, the same question for you. The North Metro competes globally for businesses and workers alike. What policies would you support, whether focused on business growth, workforce and labor needs, or both, to help this region attract and retain them?
Yes, to attract and retain national and global companies, we must cultivate a healthy economic environment. Currently, Minnesota's high corporate tax rate and regulatory burden limit our competitiveness. According to the NFIB, Minnesota has the highest corporate tax rate in the country. For business friendliness, we're 45th out of 51. In contrast, neighboring states like Iowa have implemented sweeping tax reforms to improve their business climate. To restore our competitive edge, I support reducing both the state income tax and the corporate tax rates. Additionally, we must evaluate the cost-benefit of regulations by seeking direct feedback from stakeholders. To reduce compliance burdens, I support modifying the new paid family medical leave program and conducting a comprehensive review to streamline or eliminate redundant regulations. Furthermore, mandates should consider business size to avoid placing an undue hardship on small and mid-sized businesses. We must also invest in both building and retaining our professionals and the trades workforces. While institutions like the University of Minnesota provide world-class education, high taxes are driving top talent out of the state. Lowering the tax burden is essential to keeping these highly qualified graduates in Minnesota. Finally, we must address state spending. The 2023 budget is projected to increase spending by 33% by 2027. The state has consistently outspent its revenues since 2024. To resolve these budget challenges, we need to get serious about eliminating waste and stopping fraud. State spending must be cut. By lowering taxes and reducing unnecessary regulations, we can successfully position our region to compete and thrive in the global marketplace.
All right, thank you, Karen. John, if you'd like a 45-second rebuttal.
No, I'm good, Mr. Mayor.
Karen?
No, I'm good.
All right, we will move on to question number 4, and this one will start with Karen. There is an ongoing debate about whether numerous housing and zoning decisions should be set by the state or left to local city governments. Where do you come down on that question and why?
Regarding this debate, I strongly believe in local control. Those closest to the problems are best equipped to solve them. A clear example of this issue involves home-based and congregate care facilities, which have come to light as many local residents in Brooklyn Park and Champlin have shared concerning experiences, including disruptions at all hours of the day and night by those living at a facility in their neighborhood. They are questioning who's managing and monitoring these homes. After connecting with city administrators, I learned that the removal of a city's ability to license and inspect these facilities in 2024 has led to significant challenges. While many facilities are managed well, others have caused neighborhood concerns as I've described, as well as subpar building maintenance and increased public safety demands. For instance, law enforcement in New Hope were called 133 times to just 2 of these facilities in a single year. The legislature made several regulatory changes this year, which have been a step forward, quoting Jay Strobel, the Brooklyn Park City Administrator. Challenges remain, though, regarding public safety, high state spending, community complaints. While the Minnesota Department of Human Services currently manages this program's licensure and oversight, local cities have identified numerous gaps that must be addressed. To serve the community, local governments need the authority to handle inspections for health and safety, make facility location decisions, and connect directly with license holders as the need arises. Collaboration with DHS is important, but housing and zoning decisions should ultimately be left to the local governments.
Thanks, Karen. John, you'll have the same question. There is an ongoing debate about whether numerous housing and zoning decisions should be set by the state or left to local city government. Where do you come down on this question and why?
So you look at that, some of it is zoned individually to the cities and some of the state. There seems to be much discourse about what's missing. And what I see was missing in the debate for the last 2 years, Mr. Mayor, is a meaningful state-local partnership. We, in Minnesota, we have a housing shortage. And the state has a responsibility to help address that. But in a statewide zoning mandate cannot account for every community's infrastructure, geography, housing stock, transportation system, or long-term development plan. Mayors, city council, planning commissions, and residents understand that their community, they also are accountable to the people who live there. And the state should not just simply erase and fit a one-size-fits-all mandate from St. Paul. At the same time, local control cannot become an excuse for doing nothing. Every community should help expand housing choices and remove unnecessary barriers. The best approach is for the state to provide the resources, incentives, technical assistance, and infrastructure funding while allowing cities to determine how to meet locally appropriate housing goals. We do that in Title V Public Health. You look at a local control, you look at the regional needs. We should help finance the water, sewer, roads, site preparation. Your neighboring town, Dayton, is going to be the largest town here in 20 years, and there's some real issues regarding the water, sewer, infrastructure stuff that we need to help them with. We should support workforce housing, senior housing, housing for people with disabilities, starter homes, apartments, and options that allow people to remain in their communities throughout their lives. Look at the full cost of building housing. And what the neighboring city wanted to do, especially with their biotech innovation, is look at multiple pieces of housing that need to be in order to support. The businesses are asking for that. My position is really simple. Establish a serious state-local partnership set those clear housing objectives, and provide the resources necessary to succeed.
Thank you. Karen, would you like a chance at a rebuttal?
Yes, I want to get back to the home-based and congregate care facility situation. Recently, a news report caught my attention. A Liberian government official was operating group homes in our area from Liberia, and over a 10-year period drew more than $36 million of Medicaid funding, despite maltreatment citations and resident deaths. This is very disturbing. It begs the question, are we adequately protecting vulnerable residents and our tax dollars? Adding this information to the debate, I submit that besides restoring local authority, a review of licensing criteria and enforcing strict audits of DHS spending is absolutely critical. To learn more about this story, I suggest you do your research.
Thanks, Karen. John, would you like a rebuttal?
That's one of the conversations that we hear in the human services world. That's why this past year we put in place the fact that the missing link on the 144G homes versus the 245D homes. One is licensed by the Department of Health, one is licensed by the Department of Human Services, but really the services provided to the individuals are under the Department of Human Services. We closed that gap after much, much debate. There still needs to be some work in that.
Thank you. This concludes our questions. We'll now move on to closing statements. There'll be 1 minute per candidate for each of the closing statements. We will start with Senator John Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the North Metro Mayors Association and everyone who joined us here tonight. This election is about who can effectively represent our communities and deliver results. I have a record of working with mayors, councils, schools, businesses, labor, community organizations, and legislators from both parties. Together, we have secured investments in roads, water infrastructure, parks, community facilities, and the services family depend upon. After everything my family and I have experienced, I could have chosen to withdraw. Instead, I chose to continue serving because violence, anger, and division must never have the final word. I'm running to protect our communities, strengthen our economy, support local decision-making, and make government work for people. I know how to bring people together, and I know how to turn a community priority into results. I would be honored to earn your vote and continue representing the North Metro in the Minnesota Senate.
Thank you. Karen Attia, would you please provide your closing statement?
Thank you to the North Metro Mayors Association and Ryan Sabas, our mayor of state and the city of Champlin, for hosting this forum. In closing, consider your options this election season. Are you satisfied with how your life is going? Do you have concerns about the direction our state has been heading? Are you hoping for solutions for a brighter future? You have a choice this November. Your vote will determine the direction our state will take. I know how to lead under pressure with honesty and resolve, and what it takes to balance a budget and manage ever-increasing costs. I am seeking to be your voice at the Capitol to rid our state of fraud, rein in state spending, return focus of fundamentals in K-12 education, and defend your fundamental rights and freedoms. I respectfully ask for your vote. Election Day is November 3rd. Join me in bringing our state back to health. Learn more at my website, attiaforsenate.org. Thank you. I'm Karen Attia.
All right, thank you. This brings us to the close of tonight's forum for the Senate District 34. We'd like to thank both of our candidates, Senator John Hoffman and Karen Attia, the North Metro Mayors Association, the City of Champlin, and QCTV for making tonight's event possible. Please remember to vote on or before Tuesday, November 3rd. Thank you.